So here we are in Soho, the centre of the nightclub ideology. And this is where our story begins. It is the very fulcrum of the nightclub ideology. This is where I first came to nightclubs, this is where I ran nightclubs, and this is where I still go 35 years on. Here we are in Wardour Street, one of the most important streets in clubland history. Behind me is a club, one of the first clubs I ever went to in the West End, and it's called Crackers. On a Saturday, it was home to every happening stylemonger worth his salt.
I went to Crackers for the first time in early '74. My mate, he says to me, Kev, there's this dance now that everyone's doing, and you've got to be able to do it or the birds think you're a right cunt. So I went over to a girl, started dancing with her, did a normal twos for about 20, 30 seconds, a respectable amount, then I thought, let's go. Did it, went down, and we got back up. I was like, hey, this is all right, done it.
You walk down the stairs rather into this sweaty little box, a gaggle of girls with asymmetric haircuts, see-through macs, mini skirts. A load of guys look like Jack Palance from some 40s film. Other guys look like somebody from the Wild Ones. And the music was imported funk like the JBs, the Fatback Band, the Ohio Players. And when the dance floor kicked off, it really kicked off. People gyrating, doing the splits, backdrops, flips. For me, it was heaven. The very thing that made my life hell in Merthyr Tydfil was not only accepted here, but applauded. For me, it was a joy. Ever since, that's coloured my life and my future. I've never looked back. And nowhere was more important, maybe in the world, than this place behind me, which was home to some of the most important, groundbreaking groups there ever was. This is where the Rolling Stones first played, The Who, Jimi Hendrix, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, all had residencies here. Now it's the Soho Loft Apartments, and that's what people call progress. This is where the infamous Flamingo started, backed by Jack Spott, the infamous Soho gangster. It was most famous for the all-nighters that ran for quite a few years, that went at 6 o'clock in the morning and were host to all kinds of bands. Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Count Basie, all went there, along with a bevy of American GIs, mainly black GIs, who sold their speed to the young mods and brought the records, a new sort of US soul R&B, and gave it to the DJs to play.
It was great because it was something that seemed to be no one else knew about. That was the great thing about it. You know?
It was all black, American imported soul music.
You couldn't hear that anywhere else because you couldn't get it on the radio. It wasn't on Radio 1. You had to go 3 record shops where you could buy the music.
And obviously some of the soul music was phenomenal.
No, I wasn't one of these guys who sort of queued up for imports and things like that. I was more interested in the birds.
Of course, in the 60s, it really reached its apogee. This is where you'd find Stevie Wonder taken to the piano after Cream, where Dusty Springfield danced with Prince Buster, where Hendrix leant against the bar, and where the Rolling Stones had their offices right at the very top. For me, I played an important part in it, because in 1982 I took over the above premises known as the Whiskey A Go-Go and started my club, The Wag. All we wanted was a place where we could drink, dance, not get in a fight, and go home uninjured.
I think that the Blitz Club, it was a catalyst really for creativity and a kind of playground for people to experiment. We'd have like David LaChapelle dancing on a block and Michael Clark, Stephen Jones, John Galliano, Body Map, Grayson Perry.
Well, that's a funny idea. When you think about it, a nightclub could have this neo-naturist art movement, which was led by the bloke who went on to win a Turner Prize.
Yeah.
What did you think when all that lot moved in? All these mad, like the Fat Tonys and the Linnards and the Boy Georges and the George Michaels. How did that take you at the time?
It was much more friendly. Everyone knew each other, and it was a thing about fashion. And you could come into the clubs, and no matter how famous you were, no one bothered you.
Also a safe environment, because certainly a lot of those people couldn't have gone into your normal discotheque, could they? George couldn't walk into the normal pub dressed as Paul de Seer without getting a little bit of argy-bargy.
No, but then I think part of the fun was actually sort of provoking.
I certainly hope to stimulate people.
Right.
And if they're shocked, that's fine as well.
In the mid-80s, Taboo was Lee Bowery's club.
How would you describe that? That was
quite sort of mental. Lee Bowery set the tone really for naughtiness. The latest drug was MDMA, so we took quite a fair amount of it.
Of course, later on, massive amounts of cocaine infiltrated every nightclub, really. Looking back, how do you feel about that now?
Well, on a personal level, I kind of did a bit too much of it, really. And it ceased being social for me very quickly. And perhaps that happened with a lot of people. There was times when I would just go to clubs sometimes to just get more drugs to fuel the binge that I was already on, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a shame, man, really.
Yeah.
And that finished it for me, really.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that we're losing so many clubs now in Soho? Yeah.
Money. Westminster Council just doesn't care.
A lot of the Soho scene has dissipated, you know, due to the restructuring of our skyline and development. So over in the east end of London, there's more space and opportunity to make a noise.
I run a club called Caligula every week, which is like a fashion party. Before that I was doing a night called All You Can Eat, which became like the kind of leading new rave night, full of mental kids. And before that I was doing Cash Point and Matthew Glamour. I think it's becoming so hard to put on parties, not just financially, but in terms of the restrictions around noise, you know, around where you can have a party. London's always been really vibrant when it comes to music and fashion, and it's basically something has proven to be a massive export.
What do you think is the purpose of nightclubs?
It's a place where people can invent themselves or project something.
Meeting like-minded people, you know, like yourself and others, like, and we met and we talked, we understood each other, you know.
They're places where people can get together and formulate new ideas and new concepts.
The real stars of the clubs, they were like maybe a plasterer from wherever. They were the guys who were really up the front.
For me, that's one of the great things about nightclubs. It's the Saturday night fever, isn't it? He's a star on a Saturday night. So if we have a rubbish job all week, we're on a Saturday, you're the king.